Good, Can Carla, and I want to thank Deputy Sherlock for the speaking time. Minister, as you are well aware, about a year ago or 18 months ago, Bord na Móna invited all public reps, especially from the rural areas that would be involved in the Bord na Móna areas, to meet them and show them this lovely glossy booklet that they had done out, probably at great expense, about the just transition that was happening between 2025 or 2018 and 2030. And this entailed that at 2027, the guys that had been working on the bog at the peat would be ceasing, and then you'd have 2 years after that that you'd be burning peat. Well, a lot has changed since. They talked about how they were going into, say, growing herbs for medicine, how they were going to go into fish farming, and how they were going trying out so many things that was going to be an 8 to 9 year process that would create employment. And everything looked lovely, and we all swallowed it, and we said happy days. But then we saw, when we look back and when we look at what's happening now, we see when we look back over the last 4 years, while this government has been in power, in Donnelly's coal yard in Galway, which Bord na Móna controlled, that the answer to the just transition was redundancy, let them off. The next phase we came to was in Sligo, the workers where the coal was coming in Sligo, the just transition was redundancy, let them off. Now we see at the moment, for those people in Derry Fada or Mount Dillon or in parts of the Midlands where works has gone, the just transition has been once again, with this lovely magazine or document, was let them off and give them redundancy and head for the hills, and that's it. Now, if that's the way we're going to treat people, we should be ashamed of ourselves. First of all, why aren't we standing up, regardless of whether it's Bord Pleanála or anybody else? Who is calling the shots in this country in relation to legislation and in relation to making sure that there is such a thing as a just transition for those 1,400 or 1,500 workers at present? Plus, what we have to remember as well is in those small towns we have shops, we have businesses that rely on it. But unfortunately, Minister, we seem to be throwing in the towel and saying, well, we're going to put a few quid to this, that and the other. When you want to go for retrofitting a house, and it's great, no one has a problem with retrofitting houses, let nobody go telling you, because I've seen it firsthand during the debacle on the SACs where we talked about re-wetting bogs. Well, the reality is that someone in Antrim, someone in Cork and someone in Donegal, regardless of where they're from, can compete for that work. It doesn't mean that someone in the Midlands is going to get that, because unfortunately, under the procurement process, and I've seen this firsthand, where there was things said to people for re-wetting bogs, it didn't work out. The second part of it is that this has been tripped out about the 5 million fund for re-wetting bogs. And I can tell you, I have worked on this, because before anyone basically knew what re-wetting bogs was, the national parks and the TCCA have done something like 1,800 hectares. And on the best advice, and going through all the figures over the last 3 to 4 years of what has been done, 5 million will be 17 diggers, 17 people up on a machine when you have to use the liners for 240 days. So whoever is giving this tripe about 300 and 400 jobs, whether they go back to shovels or not, I don't know. But if they go using machines, that's the amount of time there will be. We are looking at a Bord na Móna that brought in a shipload of stuff from South Africa that couldn't be used. We are looking at a company that bought a business in England that went wrong. We are looking at now, on top of the Bord na Móna workers, under the horticulture, 2,000 more jobs in the Midlands, whether we like it or not, on top of those 1,600 going as well. So what we need to do is make sure we do give a just transition. Yes, by all means, put in funding for new types of work. Yes, by all means, help in every way in that. But the bottom line on it is, be it growing biomass incentives in the Midlands, and at the moment, for people that has it done, unfortunately, it wasn't viable, whether we like that or don't. And we need to make sure that we just don't drop the hatchet on those people straight away, and that they end up that the same story as the people in Donnelly's coal yard, as the people in Derry Fada, and as the people that has seen redundancy as the only answer so far. We have got to stand up as politicians and say, If we are doing a just transition, it's from now to 2025. And everyone bought into that. Let no one say that they didn't buy into it. And if we, as legislators, have to do a derogation or legislation or whatever to get over the hump in the likes of on board Planola, because unfortunately there's no drop of a hat in a lot of those areas that you will solve it overnight. And the other thing, Minister, in the line of re-wetting bogs, the one thing that needs to be understood, that it's machinery that does most of this work. There's liners that's involved. Yes, there's rail lines going to be picked up and all that, but whoever is talking about the workings or the numbers of people needs to sit down with the national parks, not me. It's not coming from me. Let them go through what has been done already, and that will give the facts of the amount of jobs, rather than we in here misinformation going out to workers that's in a desperate situation, not knowing their future, when we should stand up and be counted for them.